It actually happened. I can't believe it actually happened. There was crazy rumors out there, but it actually happened. And I'm not talking about the tentative arena deal on the heels of that, but it actually happened. The Flames and Oilers have made a trade. And basically, I'm stunned about who's involved and what's involved in this trade here. But that's my initial reaction on it. And this is what is involved in this trade here. Is that the Calgary Flames have traded James Neal, the real deal that didn't necessarily turn out to be the real deal. He's going to the Edmonton Oilers. In exchange, who do these guys get? Well, we get Milan Lucic and a conditional third-round pick in 2020. As of this recording, and after doing some digging online and on the Twitterverse, it's unknown what the condition of this third-round pick is, but we'll see as time goes on here. But, I'm just stunned that this trade has actually happened. It was pretty much both teams had stinky contracts that they wanted to get rid of and weren't going to buy them out. Both players are relatively the same age. Milan Lucic is actually slightly younger than James Neal. They're both 31 years old, will be 32 here in the next season. And both players, they have 4 years left on their respective contracts here, as in 2016, the Edmonton Oilers signed Milan Lucic to a 7-year deal that paid him an average of $6 million a year. So he still had 4 years left because he played 3 years up in Edmonton. Well, just this last year, the Calgary Flames signed James Neal to a 5-year deal worth $5.75 million. So each player will have 4 years left on their respective deals. However, the one difference is that the Calgary Flames, when they signed James Neal, there was no restrictions in his contract. He got traded while Milan Lucic had a no trade clause, so he had to approve of this trade to come to these guys. But I just find it so a little outrageous. I'm indifferent on how this trade is right now with my initial reaction after seeing it break down here. It's just outrageous because you got the Flames and Oilers, and there was once upon a time they said they'd never ever make a trade with each other, but this is actually the third time that these two teams have made a trade here. But I think this one is definitely the strangest one, with both risk and reward on both sides here. And also I guess the other thing I should throw in is that the Edmonton Oilers are actually going to retain $12.5 million of his salary here. So in terms of an actual cap hit, it was $6 million for Lucic and $5.75 for James Neal. That, in a way, the Flames will actually save a net $500,000 on the deal in this trade, which still will give us some relief, but we still got some internal business done with our RFAs here. But there was just lots of rumors in the off season. Hockey Buzz online, various forums out there. There was actually a speculation that a three-way trade was going to happen between the Flames, Oilers, and Canucks, where you're each going to just do musical chairs and trade stinky contracts, where it was reported that Calgary was going to get Lucic. Edmonton Calgary was still going to get, I think it was actually Lucic was going to go to Vancouver. There was speculation because he's actually from Vancouver. Edmonton was going to get Neal and we would get Louis Eriksson. But there wasn't much any cap relief on Louis Eriksson if they buried him in the minors or buy him out. But then when the Vancouver Canucks actually signed Michael Furlan, that possibility wasn't going to happen. But it seemed too outrageous for it to actually happen. Then actually a couple days ago, there was once again this rumor about, this Neal Lucic deal. But no, there was a rumor that Calgary was going to trade James Neal and Sam Bennett. We're going up to QE2 to go to the Edmonton Oilers, and we would get Milan Lucic, and actually one of the prospects that the Oilers drafted in 2016, ahead of Matthew Tkachuk. Fourth overall was Jesse Puljujarvi. There's rumors that there's word that he wants to get out of Edmonton, and he says, "Trade me or I'm going to Europe." So that didn't happen, but it actually happened that we got Milan Lucic, and Edmonton gets James Neal here. And this trade could potentially work for each other in a way where the Edmonton Oilers, outside of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, their offense really, really dries up, and McDavid definitely needs some consistent wingers to play with and fill the net here. I mean, they can't necessarily bank on Alex Chason to, do what he did last season. They recently resigned him, and then they still got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but James Neal definitely didn't pan out here in Calgary and had his worst season in his NHL career. So maybe in that sense, they traded away. Basically it's trading away similar cap hits. So that's the only thing I worry about as a Flames fan, is that maybe James Neal will find some chemistry and his game will get back on track here, and he'll fill the net with Connor McDavid. There was other speculation that, he did play in 2 Stanley Cup Finals and back-to-back years, and he didn't, do as much off-season conditioning, and apparently I heard he was doing more serious with his off-season conditioning this off-season. Well, fortunately, after when we got knocked out by Colorado here, but then there was also other words that James Neal didn't like it here and wasn't a big fan of Bill Peters. And do remember that in Game 5 in that series with the Colorado Avalanche, in a must-win elimination game, James Neal was scratched for Austin Czarnik, and who at that time, Austin Czarnik was playing in his first NHL playoff game. I'll go over the player numbers here, gives you an idea how many games he played in the playoffs, and he was benched because he didn't do anything for us, and not many Flames did, but James Neal definitely was made an example out of in that playoff series of Colorado. However, if you look on the other side of the puck here, and Milan Lucic, he could potentially add some size and muscle to the Calgary Flames that we could need. Who knows about possible moves that the Flames are making, but they looked at possibly adding another top 9 forward, and actually Nazem Kadri, there was a trade in the works where it was reported that the Flames were going to trade TJ Brody and Mark Jankowski to the Toronto Maple Leafs, and we would get Nazem Kadri and I think Connor Brown. And Nazem Kadri nixed that trade, not because he said he didn't want to come here to Calgary, but he said he wanted to stay in Toronto, but then ultimately he got traded to Colorado because that was one of those teams on his modified trade list that he wanted to go to, and Colorado has a pretty good situation, and watch out for them in the offseason, but it was definitely clear the Calgary Flames were looking at possibly adding a little more physical presence to the team, and Milan Lucic definitely will do that. And just like James Neal, he does have some playoff experience and has some offensive ability that he's shown in the past, and at the same age here, same term on the contract. So I could see that work out, especially when the Calgary Flames lost Garnet Hathaway to free agency to Washington when he signed a 4-year deal that would pay him $6 million over 4 years here. But you gotta wonder, where do we see Milan Lucic fit on this team here? Because I'm almost thinking, here we are, we're complaining about a guy who was making almost $6 million being on the third line here, to only get a guy that we're going to complain about that might be on the third or fourth line making $6 million. Well, that's his cap hit, but the Oilers will chip in with some of this retained salary here. But I don't know. I'm indifferent overall. I think there's definitely big risk, just because it's Calgary and Edmonton collaborating on a trade here. That Edmonton definitely needs some scoring, needs some help on the wings, especially if they want to keep their franchise player happy and staying there. The new regime with Ken Holland as general manager and Dave Tippett behind the bench here. We'll see if that could materialize for them. Calgary, we could sacrifice some offense because we were the second highest scoring team in the league last season here, but James Neal definitely wasn't a part of it, although we definitely could use a little more grit here, especially, so that guys like Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan don't get pushed around as much, and Matthew Tkachuk's still developing his game here. I'm going to say I can maybe see Lucic playing with Matthew Tkachuk here, but let's go over the career numbers here on both players here, because I think both players have similar numbers and playoff experience here if you look at it at the end of the day here. But say if you look at Milan Lucic, who's coming here to Calgary here, he's played with the Boston Bruins, including winning the Stanley Cup with them in 2011 and also going to the finals with them in 2013. And then he had that 1 year where he was with the Los Angeles Kings before playing with the Oilers the last 3 seasons. But over 890 career games, he has 198 goals, 303 assists for 501 points and 1,072 penalty minutes here. So he definitely can have some offense aside and definitely has a physical presence here. And then the playoffs, much of it being with the Boston Bruins there. He did actually play with the Oilers the one time they made the playoffs, and the Kings the one season he was with them. He played 114 playoff games, scoring 20 goals, 42 assists, 70 points for 179 penalty minutes. So we definitely don't lose any experience in this trade here. Yes, the last season in Edmonton in 79 games, he had 6 goals, 14 assists for 20 points, 91 penalty minutes. That's definitely his lowest total numbers. But his first season in Edmonton, after he signed that big deal in the 2016-17 season there, he had 23 goals, 27 points, 50 points and 50 penalty minutes, and he played in all 82 games there. So he did have that one good season there. And then the year when the Boston Bruins won the Stanley Cup in 2010-11 there, in 79 games, he had 30 goals, 32 assists, 62 points for 121 points. And then in the playoffs there, he chipped in with 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points and 63 penalty minutes there. So, the numbers is somewhat similar, even though Milan Lucic can play a much more physical and defensive game here that we would gain from James Neal leaving town here. But we'll see how that plays out. But that's Milan Lucic, his numbers there. And then James Neal, in his hockey career that he started with the Dallas Stars, and then he played with the Pittsburgh Penguins there, Nashville Predators, and then he went with Vegas, and then 1 season with the Calgary Flames here. Overall in his NHL career here, he has 766 games played. He scored 270 goals, 244 assists for 514 points with 558 penalty minutes here. So his career numbers overall isn't that much less, or a little bit more than Milan Lucic's, but when it comes to penalty minutes, he can still play a physical game, but he's definitely not as physical and not as big here. And then in the playoffs here, he's played 104 playoff games, scored 31 goals, 24 assists, and 55 points for 92 penalty minutes. 2 trips to the finals there, but no Stanley Cup here. And then, last season definitely was a disappointment here for the Flames. He played 63 games. He missed 6 weeks there with an injury, and it wasn't when he got his chicklets checked out there, but he only scored 7 goals, 12 assists, 19 points for 28 penalty minutes. So I definitely fell short of his career numbers here. But his best season, I would say, he had the 2013-14 season that he had with the Pittsburgh Penguins here. They actually only played 59 games that year, and he scored 27 goals, 34 assists for 61 points. So I actually overlooked another season that he had in 2011-12 there for the Pittsburgh Penguins here. Another season they had a point per game average here in 81 games. He had 40 goals, 41 assists, 81 points, and 87 penalty minutes there. So, I mean, definitely I'm going to say James Neal has the better, a little more offensive upside, but a lot less physical, while the Calgary Flames will sacrifice some, if you look at his whole career, sacrifice some offensive production, but gain some grit and muscle here. So, I mean, you could say it might be a lateral move, especially when it comes to the finances here, but I'm indifferent today. We need next season to happen before I can revisit this and say, you know, was this a great move for the Flames, a great move for the Oilers here? I mean, a lot of consensus I've seen online here is that a lot of people are not happy with this trade or jumping off the bridge there, but you know, people are doing that same reaction when we hired Bill Peters as head coach, and in his first season, I'm going to say he did a damn good job with we'll see how we do this season here, but you know, Milan Lucic actually on his Twitter page here, he actually changed his profile pic as of this recording to Calgary Flames jersey, and he will wear number 17. Maybe that would kind of slow him down in Edmonton there, that he couldn't wear number 17 because Jerry Curry retired that number, but that was the number that he wore in junior there, but he's worn number 17 in his career there. So we'll see how this pans out, but I just say right now, I mean, it's stunning that it actually happened. I mean, all these rumors, I mean, you sometimes see rumors online or on Hockey Buzz or just in the Twitterverse and even some hockey insiders. It's like, seriously? That's not going to happen. And then it actually happened. And then I mentioned that this is the third time that the Flames and Oilers have collaborated on a trade here. Let's go back to some history here. This is the last part of this video here. So back on the trade deadline, March 3rd, 2010 here, this was the first time that the Flames and Oilers made a trade here, as the Flames actually acquired Steve Staios, who was a solid defenseman in his NHL career that he played both with the Oilers. He might be one of those rare players you could say he both played for the Oilers, Flames, and Canucks, because he played a big part in Steve Staios was a good defenseman for the Vancouver Canucks in the early part of his career, and he was definitely a big part of the Oilers when they went to the finals in 06 there, but he did tail off towards the end of his career. But we got Steve Staios from the Edmonton Oilers, and we sent them Aaron Johnson and a third-round pick for 2011 there. So that was the first time that the Flames and Oilers made a trade here. And then 3 years later, on November 8th, 2013 here, the Calgary Flames got Ladislav Schmid, the defenseman, for who was with the Oilers there. He actually was originally drafted by the Anaheim Ducks in the first round there in 2006, but he was part of that Chris Pronger trade, and who the Flames gave up. They gave up Laurent Brossoit. Well, actually, they also got Olivier Raw, but he never played for the Calgary Flames. But the Edmonton Oilers got Laurent Brossoit, the goalie who actually played for the Edmonton Oil Kings, and actually was a star there, and briefly played some time with the Edmonton Oilers, and forward Roman Horak. So, but I'm going to say, for this being the third time that the Flames and the Oilers have made a trade here, this is definitely, I'm going to say, a little on the strange, outrageous side here, but, you know, it might help each enemy out. But I mean, what's your take on it? I mean, I've been seeing many differing opinions on this. I mean, I trust Brad Treliving and what he's doing, and too bad Peter Chiarelli is not the general manager anymore in the Edmonton here. But we would have probably won away with the jackpot if it was making the trade. But it was Ken Holland that made this move here. But I just say I'm indifferent right now. It looks like a lateral move in terms of finances. I'm going to say the risk and reward is both high for both sides here. But I'm going to say, well, so bad things didn't work out for you. And here in Calgary, James Neal, I mean, I guess I'll wish you luck up in Edmonton, minus when you're not playing these guys or any games that would hurt the Flames in the standings here. And I guess if you didn't want to be here, well, I guess you're out of here. Milan Lucic, well, welcome to Calgary. Apparently the captain obviously has already reached out, Mark Giordano, and heck, I think even Jerome McGinley reached out to Milan Lucic to actually convince him to come here. And, based on your Twitter pic for showing Lucic Flames jersey, I might think he might actually look good wearing the Flaming Sea, especially when he's beating up on the Oilers. And just to make this even more crazy, remember in the free agency there, Mike Smith went to Edmonton and Cam Talbot's here. And actually one of the reasons that James Neal last season was able to come here was Mike Smith recruited James Neal here in free agency. So in some way, Cam Talbot, Milan Lucic, they're still teammates. Mike Smith, James Neal, they're both teammates. But they're wearing the other guys' Alberta jerseys. But I'm going to say, you know what? I'm happy with Cam Talbot right now at this stage over Mike Smith and Milan Lucic. I think he might actually could turn some hearts here in Calgary, and if he shows his physical presence. And I gotta say, both James Neal and Milan Lucic are bound to rebound. They can't get any worse here, but we'll see what happens here. It's fun about being a sports fan and speculating on trades and that, but we need to visit this in a year. I mean, last year when we made that trade with the Carolina Hurricanes for Dougie Hamilton here, I'm going to say ultimately last season it worked out pretty well for both sides here, but we'll see here. But anyway, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, I mean, I mostly obviously talk Calgary sports here. Just make sure you like and subscribe here. But I mean, it just turned out to be one heck of a day here to be a Flames fan. There was once again some quiet rumors and speculation about the city and the Flames finally getting together about getting a new building here. And there's a tentative agreement in place. I don't know if it was designed that this trade happened on the same day here, but then I decided just to make some personal vlogs, and as that was finishing up, this story came along, and I just needed to wait till it was officially announced by these guys and give my take on it. But what do you say? It's not very often you see the Flames and Oilers make a trade, but maybe we help each enemy out here in this case. But anyway, go Flames, go! Welcome to Calgary, Milan Lucic, and I'll see you in the next video.